Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid and art by Alex Ross. Alright, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the DC epic Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid, art by Alex Ross. This book, to me, is all about that artwork. It is beautiful. Alex Ross kills it on this book. It is the main draw to this series. This story in this book takes place in a future DC universe. So we see a lot of interpretations of DC characters in the future when they are much older, and that is immense fun. I especially like seeing the way Batman is portrayed in this book. I won't spoil it up front here though, but really good time. And there is just so many characters in this book. It really encompasses the entire DC universe. It's a celebration of the DC universe. There is tons of little Easter eggs and jokes, and it is just an all-time classic. So let's dive into it. Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come is what DC calls an Elseworld story. It's a story set outside of the continuity of the main DC universe. It is set in the distant future. A lot of the main DC heroes we know are now old and graying. Some are dead, and for some, the torch has passed to a new generation. Back in the old days when Superman and the Justice League were in charge, they did not believe in crossing the line and killing their villains. They believed in truth and justice and believed in the courts and the legal system. One day, though, the Joker went on a rampage, and he found his way over to Metropolis, and the Joker went to the Daily Planet, and he killed 93 people, including Superman's wife, Lois Lane. It was a tragedy. Various heroes went looking for the Joker and tried to arrest him. Who would find him first? Would it be Superman? Would it be Batman? It would not. Instead, it was a hero named Magog, a new breed of hero. He found the Joker, and he killed him, vaporized him. Magog did what Superman and Batman would not. He finally put an end to the Joker. Superman was furious that Magog crossed that line and killed, so he arrested Magog, and Magog was put on trial. Superman actually testified against him, but Magog was actually acquitted and let go. The district attorney said justice was done. If anyone deserved to be killed, it definitely would be the Joker. A poll in the Daily Planet newspaper had 77% of people siding with Magog and only 18% siding with Superman. Society clearly wanted superheroes that would just kill these villains once and for all. Superman, he cannot accept that society wanted this new breed of hero that killed with impunity. Superman was not going to be that kind of hero, so he left. He went into exile, and with him many other heroes followed. In Superman's absence, a new breed of hero arose, heroes like this Magog, and this new breed skipped the justice system altogether and just killed their adversaries. They no longer fought for truth and justice. They would simply fight for the sake of fighting. And eventually this new breed of heroes killed almost all of their adversaries off. And there was no one left for them to fight but each other. And when they would fight each other, they would be violent and they wouldn't hold back. And innocent people would get caught in the crossfire and lose their lives. And that is the background that sets up the world of Kingdom Come. Issue 1, Strange Visitor. It has been 10 years since Superman has gone into exile, and Magog and his breed of superhero have become a dominant part of the world. We are introduced to a man named Norman McKay. He is 75 years old. He is an ordinary human being, a simple pastor. His presence in the story is to be the human conduit for us, the reader. We will in a way experience and follow the story through his eyes. Norman will act as our framing device for understanding the state of the DC universe and seeing the greater point of this story. In the hospital, Norman McKay visits a dying Wesley Dodds. Wesley Dodds was a church member in Norman's church. Wesley was also the original Golden Age Sandman in the DC universe. I just want to point out he is the Golden Age Sandman, not the more popular modern Sandman written by Neil Gaiman that's going to be adapted into a TV show on Netflix soon. Wesley right now, though, just seems old and frail and seems kind of crazy as he talks about the end of the world. Norman talking to Wesley tries to calm him down, but Wesley just continues talking about his apocalyptic visions. Wesley, he says, 7 thunders will utter their voices, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Norman, he reads scripture to Wesley, and eventually Wesley passes away and dies. Eventually, a funeral is held for Wesley, and Norman speaks at it. And many days later, Norman, he wanders the streets, and he goes to a restaurant called Planet Krypton, which is a parody of Planet Hollywood, except instead of Hollywood stars, it is DC Universe heroes. When Norman walks inside the Planet Krypton restaurant, he is greeted by a waiter in a Green Lantern costume. It seems like all the waiters in here are dressed as various superheroes. The waiter, who is dressed as Green Lantern, doesn't even know the character he's dressed as, he says. So what do you think? Not a bad job on the tights, huh? They tell me I make a pretty good green, what do you call him? Arrow? The waiter not being able to know who Green Lantern is a hint at how long the older heroes have been out of public view. That civilians in this new generation don't even remember exactly who they are. Norman, he leaves the restaurant and he continues walking through the busy city streets. As he is walking, we see many of the new heroes fighting all around. Everything comes to a stop, though. In the downtown square, a news bulletin broadcasts on an outdoor screen. Norman and the other citizens stop to listen to it. And on the news, they report that Kansas and neighboring states have been destroyed. So what happened in Kansas? Well, Magog and his Justice Battalion were fighting the villain known as Parasite. The battle started in St. Louis and it ended in Kansas. Magog and his battalion were beating Parasite severely. Parasite, he was begging for mercy. He wanted to give up, but his pleas for mercy were ignored. Magog and the others continued to pummel him and try and kill him. Onlookers were surprised by the savagery of Magog's attack. Parasite, he was panicked by the beating, and in a desperate move, Parasite retaliated and hit one of the other heroes that was fighting him, known as Captain Atom. Captain Atom is a nuclear-powered hero, and when Parasite attacked him, somehow he split Captain Atom open. And what happens when you split an atom? Well, it causes a nuclear explosion. So Captain Atom went nuclear, exploded, and it immediately killed everyone in Kansas, and also rendered parts of Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri a radiated wasteland. Apparently, 1 million people died in this tragedy. And Magog and this other metal-based hero named Alloy were the only 2 that survived the blast. The spread of further nuclear blight had been prevented, but the total loss of America's breadbasket has thrown the world economy into near collapse and global famine. So that is what happened in Kansas, and it has shooken the world. When Norman went to church that Sunday and he preached his sermon, his congregation wanted a message of hope to help them make sense of the tragedy in Kansas. Instead, Norman told his parishioners that the end is near and that they should fear God and give him glory. Not really the message everyone wanted. After church, when everyone else left and Norman was alone, he started to think that maybe Wesley Dodds was right. Maybe it was the end of the world. And Norman lately has been having the same dreams and visions of the apocalypse like Wesley was having. Norman, he is then visited by the DC character known as the Spectre. The Spectre arrives seemingly like a ghost through the church walls. Those of you unfamiliar with the Spectre, he is a former police officer named Jim Corrigan, who then died, but he was sent back down to Earth with a new purpose and merged with the entity of the Spectre and transformed into this spirit of vengeance where he passes judgment on others. The Spectre has all the abilities of a god, including manipulation of time and space, of matter and energy, invulnerability, limitless strength, and reality alteration. Virtually anything he wishes to do to those he judges is possible. He has no discernible weakness other than needing a human host to be able to be a fair and impartial judge. The Spectre tells Norman that he was sent by a higher power to punish those responsible for the coming evil. In order to fulfill his task, he must attach himself to a human soul who seeks justice. Norman tells the Spectre that he does not seek justice. The Spectre tells him, "You will." Norman asks, "Why him?" And the Spectre answers, "Because I came too late in search of the dreamer Wesley Dodds. He saw tomorrow with a power he did not understand, but passed to you nonetheless. Now your dreams will guide us both. In order to fulfill my mission, we must both witness the events that will lead to Armageddon." The Spectre tells Norman to come with him. Norman asks, "If you truly are a being of great power, how is it you can find no way to avert this catastrophe?" And the Spectre answers, "That is not my task. Once Earth boasted other saviors who might have stemmed the tide of destruction, but as you will see, they are no longer the solution. They are in many ways the problem." With all of that set up now, the Spectre and Norman go invisible, and for the rest of the book, they will teleport around and watch the rest of the events unfold. And in the end, the Spectre, with the help of Norman, will judge. First, the Spectre and Norman teleport to Superman's location, and they watch. We see Superman. He is on what looks like a farm, much like the one he grew up on in Kansas as Clark Kent. Only he can't be in Kansas, as Kansas is now a nuclear wasteland. Superman is not in Kansas. He is actually in some sort of self-enclosed farm in his fortress of Solitude in the Arctic that has some sort of technology, VR walls, to make it look seamless, like he is actually there outside. One thing I need to point out is that Superman has gray hair in this book. Superman typically is supposed to age very slowly. For him to be noticeably older looking and age quicker like this is something kind of unique to the continuity of Kingdom Come. Artist Alex Ross explained why he chose to draw Superman this way with graying hair. He says, "It is better suited for the character for him to experience the more humbling aspects of humanity as he could, which would be signified by his graying look, and aging naturally would offset his more godlike powers." Wonder Woman, she flies over to speak with Superman, and she refers to him as his Kryptonian name, Kal, instead of Clark or Superman. Wonder Woman tells Kal he can't stay here forever, away from everyone. Superman has been living here for the last 10 years in his Fortress of Solitude, away from the rest of the world. Wonder Woman attempts to comfort Superman and tells him, "You've lost so much since I first met you." Superman coldly replies, "Earthlings die, you know that." Wonder Woman to this says, "They were your parents, Kal, and she was your wife. Don't call them Earthlings." Wonder Woman, she then presses a panel, and it reveals the borders of the fake farm that Superman was enclosed in. The reason Wonder Woman is here in Superman's Fortress of Solitude is to talk to him about the events in Kansas. Superman has not been keeping up with the world events, and he is unaware. Wonder Woman warns him that she comes with news from the outside. Bad news. It's shaken the world. She says that Magog is out of control. They walk through the Fortress of Solitude and make their way to a room where Superman has many televisions monitoring the world. Superman, he looks at them all, and he sees the news coverage of the disaster in Kansas, about how Captain Atom blew up, and all the various devastation that came from that. Superman does not like what he sees. He turns off the monitors. Wonder Woman, she asks Superman to return back to crime fighting, inspire the world again. She says, "Kal, please, our generation takes its lead from you. We always have. You must face this. If you don't, neither will the rest of us." And then it just goes on. Superman tells Wonder Woman to leave. He tells her to go back to her island where she is safe. We are led to believe from this interaction that Superman has no intention of leaving his Fortress of Solitude, but we will have to see what he actually decides to do. We know that Superman was in exile for the last 10 years up in his fortress, but what about some of the other heroes? Some of them were not able to completely walk away from their duties as Superman had, and they continued to protect certain areas from behind the scenes. In Keystone City, the original Flash, known as Jay Garrick, still patrols his city. The Pacific Northwest is still guarded by Hawkman. Outer space above Earth is protected by the Green Lantern known as Alan Scott. Alan Scott has reclaimed his Green Lantern title, forging his lantern into armor, thereby becoming a self-renewing power source. Green Lantern has built an Emerald City floating satellite that orbits Earth, protecting it from any savage alien attacks. Bruce Wayne, otherwise known as Batman, has Gotham City under control. He has built many bat robots that police the city. The Spectre and Norman teleport over to Metropolis and continue watching. Some sort of super-powered fight is going down. We see a cable car with people crash and begin to fall into the water. The citizens on the bridge watch in horror as people seem to be falling to their death. All of a sudden, though, there is a gust of wind in motion, and the cable car gets lifted back up and gets safely placed back on the bridge. All these civilians are confused, and then all of a sudden the civilians on the bridge say, "Look, up in the sky!" And then we see a triumphant Superman has returned. He saved the cable car, and he has also captured the various criminals and metahumans responsible. When we see Superman's outfit here, we see the red S symbol, but the background is black now instead of the usual yellow. Artist Alex Ross said he based this design on the old 1940s Superman animated film series, which also had the S on a black background, so that is partly the reason for this. Also, Superman must have changed the color from yellow to black to signify mourning, whether it be the loss of his wife, the changing dark times, or perhaps to respect those who died as part of the tragedy in Kansas. Either way, the public on the bridge seems hopeful. They are clapping and cheering from down below. But Norman McKay, he stares up at Superman and he thinks, "Dear God, the threat of Armageddon hasn't ended, it's just begun." Issue 2, Truth and Justice. Over at the Statue of Liberty, one of the new breed of heroes named Army Commando and his Minutemen declare war on immigrants. Army Commando tells them that Kansas is gone now. America is not big anymore. They can't house them all. Desperate immigrants are being attacked and hurled into the water. Another group of heroes arrive and they battle over territory with the Army Commando and start attacking him. The two powered hero groups are fighting each other with No one really caring about the innocent bystanders down below that might die in the crossfire. Finally, the older heroes arrive. We see Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Power Woman, previously known as Power Girl, and she is also Superman's cousin. There's the Flash, Hawkman, and the Ray. Superman and his allies battle, and they try to take control of the situation. Superman is taking Americommando down. Green Lantern, Power Girl, Wonder Woman, and the Flash are trying to save innocent civilians in the water. Inside the torch of the Statue of Liberty, another of Superman's allies, named Red Robin, takes down some of the villains inside. Red Robin is actually Batman's previous ward, Dick Grayson, the original Robin. Eventually, the torch breaks from the Statue of Liberty. Luckily, Wonder Woman uses her magic lasso to catch it. Once all the rogue, dangerous metahumans are subdued, and all the civilian bystanders are saved, Superman and the others head over to the UN and decide to give an impromptu news conference. Superman addresses the crowd of reporters. He tells them that, in his absence, a new breed of metahumans has arisen. Self-styled heroes that are unwilling to preserve life or defend the defenseless. He says that he and the other heroes here have returned to teach these younger, newer breed of heroes the meaning of truth and justice. He says together they will teach this new breed with wisdom and, if necessary, with force, and they will restore order to the world. They will make things right. After this meeting, delegates from the UN take a moment to discuss amongst themselves what they just heard. None of them are too happy with Superman's announcement. They fear and come to the realization that they humans are no longer really in control of their own destiny. Later on, Superman flies over and enters the Batcave to talk with Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. We see Bruce's manor is destroyed and in disarray, and the Batcave is flooded, but still operational. There are Bat robots on guard. Superman in the Batcave is looking for Batman. He calls out, "Bruce, I know you're down here. You can't hide from me." Superman finally sees Batman in person. And this has always been one of my favorite visuals in this book. We see old Bruce Wayne. His body is held together by a steel frame body brace. Years of crime fighting as Batman have taken a toll on Bruce physically. He doesn't fight that much himself anymore. That's why he has the Bat robots. So Superman is looking for Bruce and saying, "You can't hide from me." And Bruce sarcastically tells Superman, "I bow to your superior wisdom. After all, you know all about hiding. Don't you, Clark?" Superman takes offense to Bruce calling him Clark. Superman no longer wishes to go by his human name. He prefers his Kryptonian name, Kal. Batman refuses, though, and he continues to call Superman Clark to annoy him. Superman asks, "What happened to the manor?" And Bruce answers, "Once my identity got exposed, Bane and Two-Face happened to it. Doesn't matter. I have everything I need down here." The conversation between the two of them is strained. Batman is taking jabs at Superman wherever he can. They discuss the metahuman problem. Superman tries to get Bruce to join his new Justice League he is forming. He also tells Bruce that Dick Grayson has already joined him. Bruce is not swayed, though. He says that him and Dick have never saw eye to eye on everything. Bruce does not wish to do things the way Superman wishes to do things. He has his own ways that are more methodical than Superman's ideas. Bruce says that Gotham City is now a utopia compared to Metropolis. Superman, he has taken a look at Gotham City lately. There are Bat robots everywhere. He feels that Bruce has basically turned it into a police state. Bruce reiterates that he is not interested in joining Superman, and he has his own allies, a little more in tune than Superman and his friends to humanity's needs. Eventually, their conversation wraps up and Superman leaves. And later on, we see who Bruce's allies are when they join him in the Batcave. They are a group calling themselves the Urban Warriors. They are Ted Kord, aka the Blue Beetle, Dinah Lance, aka Black Canary, and Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow. They all discuss their plans, and Bruce mentions all the other allies he has across the world that they can contact. Superman's new Justice League of Heroes begin traveling and negotiating and transforming various enemies and other metahumans into allies. Sometimes Superman does this peacefully, but sometimes he has to do it through battle. One particular battle, Wonder Woman almost loses her cool as she sees how this newer breed of metahumans have little regard for human life and almost cause some civilian deaths around her. Wonder Woman, she begins fuming with anger, but Superman stops her and tells her, "Diana, take a breath. They're not evil, they're just misguided." Elsewhere, we travel to Lex Luthor's boardroom, where we see all these supervillains plotting. They have formed a group called the Mankind Liberation Front. From left to right, here is who we have in the room. There is Vandal Savage, the immortal being alive for over 50,000 years. There is the King of Spades, former leader of the Royal Flush Gang. He still looks like the playing card for which he is named. There is Cobra, leader of the powerful Cobra cult of India. There is Lex Luthor, the billionaire industrialist. Beside him is Ibn al-Iqzu Fash. His name translates to Son of the Bat. He is the illegitimate son of Batman Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. He now heads up the League of Assassins and is heir to Ra's al Ghul's empire. Now, this comic was written in 1996. It would not be until 2006 when DC would put out a story mentioning Damian Wayne, which, for those of you more familiar with more modern Batman comics, Damian Wayne was the son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. But in this comic in 1996, instead we have Ibn al-Iqzu Fash. Beside him we have Edward Nygma, the Riddler. And beside the Riddler is Selina Kyle, Catwoman. The Riddler is apparently only here as a favor for Selina Kyle, as he is her companion. Riddler by himself does not have the clout to be invited to a meeting like this with all of these villain heavyweights. Lex Luthor and his group want to escalate tensions between the humans and the metahumans. They want to bring things to a head so that the humans have no choice but to reclaim the reins of world power. And by humans reclaiming the reins of world power, Luthor and his group are basically implying that it would be them. Luthor tells the board that they must act more quickly now because of the reemergence of Superman and the old Justice League. Lex then reveals his secret anti-Superman plan, and out walks a brainwashed Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, aka Billy Batson. Shazam is one of the few heroes that can go toe-to-toe with Superman. When Shazam walks into the room, he seems completely subservient to Luthor. One thing interesting about Shazam is that in his human form, he is a little kid, Billy Batson, but when he says the magic word, Shazam, he gets transformed into the adult, superpowered Shazam. In most DC comics, Billy Batson is just that little kid, but in Kingdom Come, because it is set so many years in the future, little Billy Batson has now officially grown up into an adult himself. So he no longer has that little kid form, but he does still alternate between a superpowered and non-superpowered form. Elsewhere, we see Superman interrupt and stop some sort of superhero metahuman party. He asks the metahumans in attendance if they would like to join his Justice League. He says the world is in bad shape and there is a lot to do. He wants them all to join willingly, and if they do join him, he expects them to follow the rules. He says that heroes have to act a certain way. Many of the younger generation there are in awe of Superman and agree to join him just because they respect him so much and what he's done in the past. Superman, he managed to gain some recruits and then eventually he left. Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, representing Batman, he showed up later, and he attempted to recruit anyone not interested in joining Supes to join his party instead. Up in the Green Lantern Emerald City in space, Superman holds a meeting with all of his allies and the many new heroes he has recruited, and they all begin making plans. They then travel around the world and branch out and get more and more of the younger generation of metahumans to fall in line. However, not everyone fell in line. Rebellions against Superman's truth and justice started to become more and more frequent. Superman and Wonder Woman debated what they should do about these rebellions, about these dangerous metahumans that can't be converted to their side. They start thinking about perhaps building a prison to house these people in. And Wonder Woman has an idea of where they might be able to build it. She takes Superman and they travel below the ocean to talk with the previous Aquaman, known as Arthur Curry. Arthur, he has fully embraced his position as King of the Seas, and now he goes by the name King Arthur, no longer Aquaman. He has also fully separated from his previous wife, Mira, and he is now married to a woman named Dolphin. Wonder Woman asks King Arthur if he will allow them to build a prison under the sea for the rebellious metahumans. King Arthur denies their request. Wonder Woman tries to convince him to reconsider. She says, "Arthur, if you could only see the trouble we're in up there, join us, stand at our side as you did in your youth." Aquaman to this says, "A faint invitation. Though I miss the camaraderie, you know I was never comfortable being your Aquaman. I have long ceded my name and role to my protege. I understand many of our old friends have followed suit. My subjects need me, princess. You have hundreds of champions to defend a few land masses. I protect the other 70% of the world, and there is only one of me. I have responsibilities you cannot even dream of. You surely understand how uneasy lies the head that wears the crown." Wonder Woman sadly reveals that she has been stripped of her royal status, and she is no longer welcome home on Paradise Island. They felt that she failed on her mission as an ambassador of peace to the world. King Arthur says that he is sorry to hear that, but it does not change his decision. Later on, up in the Emerald City, Superman and Wonder Woman talk some more. The two of them almost share a kiss when they get interrupted by two other heroes who tell them that Magog has been found. Magog, he was the hero that ushered in a new era of superhero that pushed Superman and the old ways out. He was the one responsible for the devastation in Kansas that killed millions. Well, Magog has returned to Kansas now. Superman flies down to talk with him. Superman asks him, "What are you doing back in Kansas?" The two of them exchange some words. Superman blames Magog for all their deaths. He tells him, "You led 6 unstable powerhouses against one pathetic parasite, an overkill gesture that murdered 1 million people." Magog replies, "And what are you gonna do about it? Go ahead, take a swing, punish me, try to lock me away if you've got the guts." Magog, he blames Superman and says the destruction of the world is actually his fault because Superman left crime fighting all those years ago. Magog says the world changed, but Superman would not. Magog points to the devastation around him of the now destroyed Kansas and says, "Look around, this is what I represent." Superman tells him, "You must be proud." Magog replies, "Proud? Proud?" Magog then drops to his knees and says, It's your fault, you bastard! The world changed, but you wouldn't, so they chose me! They chose the man who would kill over the man who wouldn't, and now they're dead." Magog then begs Superman to kill him. He says, "1,000,000 ghosts! Punish me! Lock me away! Kill me! Just make the ghosts go away!" It is not revealed what happens to Magog, but we do not see him again for the rest of the story. Superman then travels to planet Apocalypse to speak with the new god, Orion, who has usurped Darkseid and is now the Lord of Apocalypse himself. Superman has come for advice, but he is disappointed to see that Orion has not reformed Apocalypse and made things better. Orion's people are still enslaved. Superman asks, "You're a god. You have the power to change your world." Orion retorts, "Or to destroy it. You would be surprised. I fear at how easily one can lead to the other. I thought I had transformed Apocalypse, but finally overthrowing Darkseid's despotic rule. Imagine the horror of learning that to the lowlies ground under Darkseid's heel since Apocalypse was young, liberty was every bit as paralyzing as fascism." Orion asks if Superman wishes to bring his metahuman criminals to Apocalypse to imprison them here. If that is what he wishes, he is welcome to. Superman explains that deportation was never his intent. He says, "I have no desire to see anyone removed from their homeworld. Given the nature of my own struggle, I had hoped that Orion, the dog of war, could lend some wisdom, but I was mistaken. I can learn nothing from you." Orion points Superman towards others who may help him instead. Superman, on the advice of Orion, eventually recruits Mr. Miracle, who is a master escape artist, along with his wife, Big Barda. Together they begin building a prison for Superman in Kansas that will hold all of the rebellious heroes that refuse to join Superman's side. The prison is nicknamed the Gulag, and built with Big Barda and Mr. Miracle's expertise, it should be able to contain any metahumans needed. Elsewhere, Bruce Wayne and his allies meet with Lex Luthor and his Mankind Liberation Front. Bruce and Luthor agree to work together, as they realize neither of them would be successful on their own, but combined, they may be able to curtail Superman and the Justice League once and for all. Issue 3, Up in the Sky. The prison, or Gulag, was built in Kansas once all the radiation was cleared up. It was constructed with the intention of holding prisoners for months to come, but within 2 weeks, it was filled beyond capacity. In the prison, holograms of Superman were built to teach the prisoners about truth and justice and right and wrong, but the prisoners did not seem interested in learning, and they rebelled and ignored the teachings and cursed out Superman. We jump over to Lex Luthor. We see how he was able to get Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, aka Billy Batson, under his control. We see Lex torturing Billy, brainwashing him. Lex Luthor, with the help of a technique used by the mad scientist and usual Shazam villain, Dr. Savannah, is placing chemically engineered worms inside Billy Batson's ears as a form of torture. And the worms are slowly eating away at Billy's mind and making him go crazy, and making him more subservient to Luthor. Lex tells Billy, "I still have a very special job for you." Now, while Lex is administering this torture to Billy Batson, we see one of Batman's robots is secretly in the room, spying on them, and we can assume reporting back to Batman. Lex Luthor eventually leaves his Shazam torture session and joins Bruce Wayne out on a catwalk. They are both looking at various Bat robots being built. They are Batman's designs, but with Lex Luthor's production facility leading to the ability to mass produce them even more. Bruce, he warns Luthor not to double-cross him. He says their objective is world order, not world domination. Luthor tells Bruce, "Oh, I wouldn't dream of it." Bruce replies, "Ridding the world of the Justice League is a necessary evil. Mankind was never meant to bow before a Kryptonian." Luthor says, "My thoughts exactly." Once Superman and his toadies are out of the way, the Mankind Liberation Front can seize power. And with your little bat robots keeping the peace, we can return the reins of civilization to the humans. Bruce and Luthor then join the others in the war room and discuss further plans. Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, is there drinking some tea. He asks, why can't they just use kryptonite to stop Superman like they used to? Luthor explains that kryptonite no longer packs the punch it used to in the good old days. He says, "Chuck it up to the solar radiation Superman's cells have been guzzling all these years. He's at the height of his invulnerability." Also in the room are many of the younger generation of heroes that Bruce has allied with. Bruce tells Luthor that he and his super alliance here will be ready to step in if needed. Later on, we see Bruce talking to another previous Justice League heavyweight, Martian Manhunter. Bruce had the alien from Mars, Martian Manhunter, doing some spying for him. He asks him if he has any info for him. The problem is, Martian Manhunter is not what he used to be. In the past, he wanted to understand the human psyche more, so he used his telepathy and opened his mind to the world, and his mind was forever shattered by its thoughts. Bruce is asking for the Martian's help now. Martian Manhunter, he tries, but he says, too much noise. He starts breaking down a bit, and Bruce tells him it's okay. You fought the good fight longer than any of us. You've done all that's ever been asked of you, and today was no exception. You've paid your dues, old friend. Go home and rest. Dream of rad sands and silent stars. Martian Manhunter, he attempts to leave by phasing through the wall, which he is usually able to do, but his powers are not working like they used to, and instead, he comically runs right into the wall, smacking into it. We see Shazam walking among Batman's group of young superheroes. Only the younger superheroes are a little bit afraid of him. Shazam has this crazy smile on his face and a faraway look in his eyes. In space, in the Emerald City, the Justice League is monitoring the world. Superman, he is just up there staring down at it and looking at various countries and saying, Germany's all clear, Austria and Italy too. The Spectre and Norman McKay are up there as well, just observing everybody like they've been doing all books so far. Spectre is keeping them invisible in another realm of existence. One thing though is that the Flash is apparently so fast he can't be contained by one plane of existence, and entire strata of reality are open to him. Because of this, the Flash is able to detect Norman McKay's presence in the other realm, observing them. And Flash, he grabs Norman and pulls him into their realm. So now everyone is on high alert. Who the hell is this Norman McKay guy? This random old man in a Mr. Rogers sweater that has been spying on them. Power Woman, she almost punches Norman out. She asks, "Who are you? Where did you come from? Why are you here?" Superman, he now steps in and confronts Norman. Norman, he tries to explain to Superman and the others the crazy situation he is in, with the Spectre and all the stuff happening to him. But eventually, he just relents. He can't explain this. He just tells Superman, warning him that Armageddon is near. Armies have been raised against him, and the hour of judgment has come. Superman is ignoring Norman's warnings. He says, "Listen to me. I don't know who you are or where you've come from, but your words are meaningless. Armageddon is hardly on our calendar. These are grim days, but we will have matters fully under..." And then, interrupting them at that moment, is Robin at the console. He says that the Gulag in Kansas, there's a riot going on there. The prisoners have gone berserk. Wonder Woman and Superman are going to go head to the UN as they are overdue for a meeting, and they are going to explain the situation to them. Meanwhile, they send Flash, Green Lantern, and Power Woman to the prison to try and get it under control. And while they are giving out orders and figuring out their next plans, meanwhile, the Spectre, he touches Norman and tells him, "We're finished here," and he teleports them both away. Superman and Wonder Woman have arrived at the UN for their meeting, and the meeting goes terribly. Superman tries to tell the humans there that he built a giant prison in the middle of Kansas to house metahumans that couldn't be converted to his way of thinking. Not only does he have to inform them about the existence of a gigantic prison, he also has to tell them that now there is a full-blown riot happening right now in it. The UN representatives are upset at the news and tell Superman they are disappointed and angry that he was not upfront with them about this jail from the beginning. They say they will have to begin to decide some things for themselves from now on. And they tell Superman good day. Superman and Wonder Woman fly away a little bit disappointed about how that meeting went. Over at Lex Luthor's headquarters, news of the prison riot has gotten out there as well. Luthor figures now it is time to strike. He orders Billy Batson to turn into Shazam, and for him to break open the prison gulag so all the prisoners can roam free and angry and easily eradicated in a war that no one can win but Lex Luthor and his team. Billy Batson, he seems apprehensive to turn into his superhero form. It's been a while since he has done it. But Luthor, he rubs Billy's ears, an intimidating reminder of the worm torture treatment he has been subjecting Billy to. It is at that moment Bruce Wayne finally steps in. He punches Billy Batson and knocks him out before Billy can say the magic word Shazam and transform into his superhero form. Bruce tells the others that Luthor has been brainwashing Billy and turning him into a stew of schizophrenic psychoses. Bruce now admits the only reason he even allied with Luthor was just to learn about his connection to Shazam and figure out what Luthor's wild card was, as Bruce hates wild cards. Luthor is angry at Bruce. He tells him, "You double-crossed me." Bruce replies, "I learned it from you." Bruce then tells his young group of heroes to attack Luthor's group. Luthor, he tries to get away, but Blue Beetle is there piloting some bat robots and stops him. Billy Batson, he gets up from being knocked out, and he starts running away from Bruce. He's trying to get away. He's scared. Bruce runs after Billy. He tells him, "Billy, stop. You don't have to run anymore. I figured out what Luthor did to you. Shazam retired early, didn't he, Billy? Of all of us, he had the hardest time adapting to the grim new world around him. And one sad day, he spoke his magic word for the last time and vanished inside a scared little boy. Then Luthor found you, took you under his wing, told you the same thing the world was telling you, that superheroes were monsters, terrible, repulsive beasts. And he never ever let you forget it, that you had one hiding deep down inside you. Don't think like that, Billy. He's twisted your brain around, the insanity. The worms, they're engineered to secrete certain chemicals. Billy or Shazam, either one, they eat away at your mind. They're driving you mad, Billy. Don't let that happen. The world depends on it. You can fight it." As Billy is running through the various corridors and trying to get away, he accidentally runs into an overhead container that's full of those worms, and they fall all over him. Billy, with worms all over him, decides to say his magic word finally. He yells, "Shazam!" And he then transforms into his mighty alter ego, Shazam. And then he immediately flies out of the building at lightning speed, causing a giant boom. Bruce Wayne, realizing what happened, says, "Damn it!" Bruce asks some of his younger heroes where the rest of Luthor's men are, and apparently they have all been taken into custody. So at least the Luthor and his people are taken care of, but Shazam is still out there. Bruce decides to head back to the Batcave and continue working from there. In space, Superman and Wonder Woman are getting ready to join the fight at the prison. Wonder Woman has her warrior outfit on. She is committed to kill the prison rioters if need be. Superman is against this, and the two of them get in a heated argument about how to proceed. Their argument gets interrupted by news that the prisoners have killed a hero named Captain Comet. Superman is visibly upset by this. Wonder Woman tells Superman they are going to have to go there and give the prisoners an ultimatum: surrender or war. Superman, he still opposes this. He says, "You can't have a war without people dying." Wonder Woman gives Superman a cold kiss goodbye, devoid of passion, and says, "Goodbye." She leads the remaining Justice League members with her to join the fight. With the situation turning really dire, Superman decides to fly to the Batcave and try to get Bruce's help in stopping the prison riot and preventing further war and bloodshed. He arrives at the Batcave, and the two of them talk. Superman, he says he needs Bruce's help. Bruce answers, "You've been through this." Superman says, "Shut up! I don't have time for your wisecracks. You're not above all this. Not now. Not with the stakes this high. We're racing the end of the world, Bruce. I've got a half a second lead, but by all the stars in heaven, that's not nearly enough." Bruce argues, "Did you ever consider that a war might be the best? That perhaps humanity's only chance is for the superhumans to swallow each other?" Superman makes an argument that he knows will appeal to Bruce's sense of morality. He says, "The deliberate taking of human life, even superhuman life, goes against every belief I have and that you have. That's the one thing we've always had in common. It's what made us what we are." Bruce, he decides to help in his way. He tells Superman there is a player he hasn't counted on yet: Shazam. He's been brainwashed severely by Luthor. He's headed to the prison right now to do away with the Justice League. Superman, he immediately flies away to deal with this. And when Bruce turns around, he sees Superman is gone. And Bruce, he smirks to himself. He says, "So that's what that feels like." This is a reference to the fact that Batman would often disappear on people in the middle of their conversations. Superman, he flies as fast as he can, and he finally arrives at the fight at the Gulag, and he is immediately knocked down by Shazam. Shazam is towering over Superman and has a crazy, insane smile on his face. Norman McKay and the Spectre are there watching as well. Norman says, "Armageddon has arrived." Issue 4, Never-Ending Battle. At the Gulag, Superman and Shazam are trading blows, and all the other superheroes and metahumans are fighting around them. Norman begs the Spectre to use his powers and stop all the fighting. The Spectre says he can take no action, not yet. As Superman and Shazam are locked in combat, Superman is constantly trying to snap Shazam out of his brainwashing, but he has no luck for now. While all of this fighting is going on, over at the United Nations, they are debating what to do. The superhero fighting is so loud they can even hear it all the way out here. Eventually, the decision is made by the UN Secretary General. He decides to send 3 nuclear weapons to destroy the warring superhumans and heroes. He argues, "The only way to ensure that future generations remember this as humanity's final option is to ensure that there will be future generations after today. Let us strike while we still can. Godspeed." With that, the decision is made, and the nukes are on their way. Since when did the UN get the authority to launch nuclear weapons? I don't know, but I guess they do in the world of Kingdom Come. Back at the Gulag, the superheroes and the rebel metahumans continue fighting. There does not appear to be much hope. But then, Batman in full body armor and the rest of his troops fly in, along with various bat robots. And Batman, he reinvigorates a sense of hope in this battle. They may be able to pull it off. While the battle is raging on, a metahuman named Van Bach gets stabbed in the back by Wonder Woman. She has killed him, and Batman witnessed this murder and he is surprised. The two of them argue and start grappling with each other. Batman says they are here to save lives, not take them. Wonder Woman replies that they are here to force peace, and she gets angry with Batman for condemning her. She says she will not be judged by him. After all these years, you have the nerve to swagger out of your cave and expect everyone to bow before your precious wisdom? Well, it's too late for that, Bruce. We tried to hold order, but it's too far gone. Our only option now is war. Batman and Wonder Woman find themselves flying high up in the air, and as they are arguing, they see those UN Black Hawk Squadron airplanes with the nuclear weapons flying towards the prison. Back down below on the ground, Superman and Shazam continue fighting and going at it. Superman is using his laser vision to try and penetrate Shazam's mind and break through the brainwashing. But Shazam just keeps repeating his magic word. Shazam! 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 Calling down lightning strikes each time, and they are striking the area and striking various attackers. Back up in the air, Batman and Wonder Woman, they stop fighting each other, and they each try to stop the nuclear warplanes that are on their way. Batman fires lasers at one of the planes and manages to stop that one, and Wonder Woman, she uses her sword and slices through another, but the third and final plane sneaks through. The Spectre and Norman McKay are watching all of these events happen. It is finally time to judge. The Spectre tells Norman, "Judgment has come, Norman McKay. The hour tolls. Our entire journey has brought us to this moment." Norman says, "But the bomb, the bomb!" The Spectre continues, "The bomb will determine the fate of the world. If it drops, the superhumans will surely die, but humanity will be spared their violence. If not, then they will live on to fight a battle that will in time swallow the earth. In either case, we face the evil of genocide, and my task is to punish those responsible for evil. But who shall be held accountable? Whose sin is this? The humans or the superhumans? Tell me, Norman. Judge." Norman isn't sure. Why does he have to decide? Spectre tells him, "Yours is the soul that guides me. Judge carefully." Norman says he cannot do it. He says, "How can I? There is no evil here. There is just tragedy and bedlam." Over to Superman and Shazam. Shazam has been saying his magic word, Shazam, over and over and over again, each time calling down a lightning strike and alternating between his human and superpowered form. Superman, he manages to tightly wrap his hands on Billy's mouth while Billy was in his mortal form. So with the hands on his mouth, Billy can't say his magic word and he is no longer super strong and can't transform. Superman, he senses the nuclear weapon on its way. He knows it is coming. And he tries to talk to Billy, tries to reason with him, and finally get through his brainwashing. Superman tells Billy, "Listen harder than you ever have before. Look around us. Look at what we've come to. There's a bomb falling. Either it kills us, or we run rampant across the globe. I can still stop the bomb, Billy. That much I'm sure of. What I don't know is whether I should be allowed to. Superhumans or mankind, one will pay the ultimate price. That decision is not for me to make. I am not a god, I am not a man. But you, Billy, you're both. More than anyone who ever existed, you know what it's like to live in both worlds. Only you can weigh their worth equally. Fight the brainwashing, Billy. You can let me go, or with a word you can stop me. Do you understand the choice that can be made by you alone?" Superman then removes his hands from Billy's mouth and tells him, "Then decide. Decide the world." Superman, he then begins flying up after the nuke to try and stop it. Billy Batson, his mind now clear of Luthor's influence, decides to try and do something. He says the word Shazam and turns back into his superpowered form. He then flies up into the air. He grabs Superman's leg and flings Superman back towards the ground. And then he himself begins flying at the nuke in the air. and he flies up and grabs the nuke, and then he yells, "Shazam, Shazam, Shazam!" in rapid succession, calling down lightning strikes on the bomb each time. And he manages to detonate the nuclear bomb in the air, and it explodes, killing Billy Batson. If he was in his Shazam form, maybe he would have been able to survive it, but he was in his human mortal form. Due to Shazam's sacrifice, the bomb exploded in the air, and Shazam saved many lives, but many still died in the explosions. Many metahumans were still obliterated. Superman survived, though. We see Superman, and he is surrounded by many dead bodies around him and a white cloud of smoke. Superman does not realize that there are some survivors in the area. He just assumes that everyone died. Superman, he is angry, and he decides to fly to the UN to confront his human attackers that made this call to drop this bomb. Superman heads off, and Spectre and Norman, they watch Superman fly away. Spectre tells Norman that their work is done and goodbye. Judgment was passed. Norman is angry. He tells the Spectre that he will not settle for watching hordes of people die. He saw how angry Superman was. He demands the Spectre teleport him to the UN. He says he must stop Superman before he does something rash he may regret. At the UN, Superman is raging at the humans there. Norman, he now gets teleported into the building, and then he demands that Spectre let him talk to Superman. The Spectre does so. Norman, he yells out to Superman and tells him, "Clark, don't! You blame yourself for Shazam, for Magog, and Kansas, and 10 years that ended today. Yes, you're angry, but in anger, you're forgetting once more what humans feel, what they fear. They won't forgive you for this, Clark. Forgive yourself." Superman, looking at Norman, asks, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And Norman answers, "To bear witness. Listen to me, Clark. Of all things you can do, all your powers, the greatest has always been your instinctive knowledge of right and wrong. It was a gift of your own humanity. You never had to question your choices. In any situation, any crisis, you knew what to do. But the minute you made the super more important than the man, the day you decided to turn your back on mankind, that completely cost you your instinct. That took your judgment away. Take it back. If you want redemption, Clark, it lies in the very next decision you make. Make it as a man and make it right." Now the other superhero survivors from the battle arrive at the UN. Superman is surprised to see that they are alive. He thought everyone died. They explain that Shazam detonated the bomb in the sky. Batman says there are enough survivors to leave the world with the exact same problem we had before. The same impasse, the same dangers, the same distrust, the same everything. Wonder Woman asks Superman, "What now?" Superman tells the UN that he no longer cares about the mistakes of the past. His only concern now is coping with the challenges of tomorrow together as a group effort between humanity and the superheroes. He tells the UN that the heroes will not solve the world's problems for them, but will instead work to solve the problems with them. He adds that the heroes will not help by ruling humanity, but by living among them. Batman then removes his helmet, and Wonder Woman takes off her crown. One of the heroes gives Superman Shazam's cape, and Superman holding it says, "We will no longer impose our power on humanity. We will earn your trust using the wisdom one man left as his legacy. I asked him to choose between humans and superhumans, but he alone knew that that was a false division, and made the only choice that ever truly matters. He chose life, in the hope that our world and our world could be one world once again." Superman then ties Shazam's cape to a flagpole and raises it among the flags of the member nations of the UN. This suggests that this role of guidance will be more political and global in nature than the classic crime-busting vigilantism of the past. In the aftermath, various heroes are becoming more fully integrated into the world. Batman has turned his Batcave into a hospital. healing those injured in the battle at the Gulag. Batman is wearing white with a Rad Batman logo, almost like the Red Cross would wear. Lex Luthor and the other villains are wearing inhibitor collars, and they are being forced to help Bruce Wayne and clean bedpans and do things like that. Bruce Wayne has also reunited with his son, Ibn al-Exufiash. Ibn is not wearing an inhibitor collar. He is doing this good work on his own free will. Batman also reunited with his old Robin, Dick Grayson, who is healing in a bed. The two of them shake hands, and Dick's daughter Nightstar is by his side. Wonder Woman's exile from her homeland has ended, and she is recrowned by her mother and welcomed back into their community. Alan Scott, representing Oa and the superheroes, takes a seat at the UN table. Superman, he returns to Kansas and he built a memorial to all those who died from the bomb, but also those who lost their lives to their mistakes over the years. Wonder Woman comes to visit him and she gives Superman a gift, a pair of glasses, similar to the ones he wore in his past when he was in disguise as Clark Kent. Superman accepts the glasses and he smiles and looks up towards the sun. The two kiss and Wonder Woman flies away saying, "Take care, Clark," and Superman replies, "Take care, Diana." Superman not correcting Wonder Woman, referring to him as Clark, like he did earlier in the book. This signifies that Superman has now accepted his humanity once again and is willing to go by the name Clark Kent. Norman McKay and the Spectre are in Kansas, still watching, observing. Norman turns to the Spectre and asks him, "So who was responsible for what happened in the end?" The Spectre says, "No one needs to suffer any further for the tragedies they have witnessed." Norman asks the Spectre what his perspective would have been when he was an ordinary human man back in the day. The Spectre removes his hood, revealing his Jim Corrigan alter ego, his human side. And as Jim, he tells Norman that is an excellent question, although he doesn't answer it. The Spectre tells Norman McKay, you have watched the Titans walk the earth and you have kept stride. Perhaps you are more like them than you realize. You exist to give hope. Later on, Norman McKay is back in his own church and is preaching. He has faith and hope again. His visions of Armageddon no longer plague him, and they have taught him. He tells his congregation that a dream is not always a prophecy. The future, like so much else, is open to interpretation, and hope is the brightest when it dawns from fear. Epilogue, 1 year later. This epilogue is great fun, I love it. It just gives us so much fan service and various jokes referencing the DC universe. Superman under disguise as Clark Kent and Wonder Woman as Diana stop for lunch at Planet Krypton, the superhero-themed Planet Hollywood-type restaurant we saw in issue 1. The staff continues to dress as various superheroes as part of the restaurant's gimmick. Clark and Diana are shown to their table, and eventually Bruce Wayne joins them. Clark asks how Bruce's boys are. Bruce answers, "Dick, he's headed for a full recovery. Ibn, well, Dick's daughter is counseling him. Maybe he'll turn around yet, if he can shed the lessons of the League of Assassins." A waiter dressed as Aquaman comes over and asks for their drink order. Clark, he orders milk, a very wholesome choice. Diana orders water, and Bruce, he orders coffee and gives the instruction to keep it coming. When their drinks arrive, they toast to their fallen comrades in battle. Another waiter comes up dressed as Robin, and he says, "Hi, I'm Robin." Bruce, finding this amusing, says, "Of course you are." The waiter asks for their food order. Bruce asks the waiter for some recommendations. The waiter says, "Today's special is the Power Girl chicken sandwich." Bruce asks, "What's the cut of the chicken?" And the waiter answers, "Breast." This is a subtle inside joke because Power Girl is known for her gravity-defying breasts and cleavage-accentuating outfit. The waiter also recommends the Dial H for Hoagie, which is a reference to this other DC comic called Dial H for Hero. Bruce, he ends up ordering a steak well done in the end. After they all give their orders, the three heroes talk and catch up. Diana says she's been teaching. Clark, he's been cultivating farmland in Kansas and clearing radiation and growing food. Bruce, he's continuing his medical work. Their food arrives. Bruce is annoyed as his steak isn't cooked well done enough for him. Luckily, Clark just uses his laser vision and cooks Bruce's steak a little more. Bruce is satisfied and begins eating. Diana tells Bruce that the two of them have something they need to tell him. Bruce, without even looking up from his plate, says, "You're pregnant." Clark and Diana wonder how Bruce even knew. Bruce explains, "Observation. For an ageless Amazon of perfect physique, you've put on a pound or two. That was my first clue." Bruce, he congratulates them both for their child being on the way. Diana and Clark ask Bruce if he would like to be the godfather of their baby. There are things that he can teach their child that they cannot. Bruce is concerned. He says that, "We're of such different schools. You and Clark, you rule on trust. I rely on fear." Clark responds to Bruce's concerns and says, "Then let's talk about what we're all most afraid of. Look at the lesson we just learned. Right now, the scales of the world power are balanced, but still too easy to tip. Our child, more than any other, will need the leavening influence of a mortal man, a moral man, one who we can count on. You're right about me. Trust is the center of my world. I don't know if that makes me an expert on it, but I know I trust you. Despite our differences over the years, I always have." Bruce, he's a little moved by Clark's words and he hugs him. Bruce accepts. He will be their child's godfather. He then jokes, "You realize you just handed me influence over the most powerful child in the world." Superman quips back, "I thought you agreed rather quickly." They finished their meal and get ready to leave the restaurant, and as they are heading out, they pass by the Spectre and Norman McKay sharing a meal. The Spectre, reading the menu, says, "Spinach and cottage cheese, that's a Spectre platter?" Norman tells the Spectre, "Look at it this way, it's flattering to be remembered somehow." As Bruce, Diana, and Clark head out the door, Bruce comments, "The child of Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman. Imagine what kind of kid he'll be." Wonder Woman chimes in and says, "Or she'll." Superman continues and says, "A battler for truth, justice, and a new American way. I can hardly wait to see it myself. Let's go home and dream about the future." And with that, we bring Kingdom Come to a close. Alright, so that was Kingdom Come. Let me go through my thoughts on this book. First, I want to talk about a few of the things that don't really work for me. So one, the prison in Kansas got built awfully quick, maybe a little bit unrealistically so. I can't believe the UN would really fire a nuke so quickly, deciding to do that. I also am not a huge fan of the Spectre Norman McKay thing. I'm not a huge fan of the Spectre in general, and he is a big part of this book, and I don't really care much about him. I would rather follow Superman, Batman, and all the other heroes. So yeah, that's just me though. But on the whole, I really enjoyed this book. I love seeing the entire DC universe and seeing future interpretations of the DC universe and where everybody is. Seeing old man Batman in his bat brace, seeing Superman living in the Fortress of Solitude alone for so long. I love having that Lex Luthor meeting of all the bad guys and seeing Damian Wayne or whatever his name is here in this book. All that stuff is just so great. So many Easter eggs. Planet Krypton, immense fun. Having Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman having a meal in that restaurant at the end here with all the waiters dressed as various heroes. So fun. There is just so many great things in this book. And also, that killer artwork by Alex Ross just ties it all together. I actually highly recommend buying this book for your bookshelf. First of all, it's a great book to have on the mantle, but also there is lots of great supplemental material in this book where Alex Ross breaks down all the various characters he drew for this series. And a lot of the characters, you don't even really learn their name when you're reading the book, but he breaks down everybody and his concept for them. So, some really cool stuff in here. But yeah, I'm going to give this book a 9 out of 10. Great stuff, all-time classic. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be back in the future with more comics.